Hi, it's Dr. S again, and boy do I have a surprise for you today. So what many people don't know is that when I'm not in the clinic, I like to spend my free time being a zookeeper. No, really. And today I wanted to talk about my animals and their vision, but some of them are really big and dangerous, so I decided to shrink them down and put them into a little box for you to see. So, welcome to the Steckenrider Zoo. Now, of course, I was really kidding about being a zookeeper, but I really do love animals, and it was quite fun creating this diorama. If you've never made one, I highly recommend it. It's quite easy. You can just use things found around the house, like even cotton balls. Really fun activity to do with your family. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about animal vision. Believe it or not all eyes are created equal. In fact, each species of animal has a different kind of eyes for different needs. Now, there's a lot of animals in the world. Can't possibly talk about all of them, but I did try to pick some of the more unique and interesting ones. There's a lot of animals in here, so I'm not going to be able to talk about all of them today, but I am going to try to cover about half of them, and then we'll continue with part 2 next week. So first, we're going to talk about Patty the peacock shrimp. Of course, I had to name them. If you didn't know what that looked like, that's what a peacock mantis shrimp looks like. It's actually Dr. Jacob's favorite animal. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about how humans can see different colors, and it all comes down to 3 different kinds of cone photoreceptor cells, which each enables us to see all the colors of the rainbow. Remember talking about that? Well, guess what? The peacock mantis shrimp has all of us beat. It has not 3, but up to 16 different photoreceptors, or cones. Who knows all the pretty colors these shrimp can see? They can even see UV light and even polarized light. On top of that, their eyes can move completely independently of each other. Overall, they're said to have one of the most complicated visual systems of all animals. Next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorites, Karen the cat. Now, cats are pretty cool, but they're also complicated, just like their eyes. So for this one, I'm going to have to go to the whiteboard. So one really neat fact about cats, and you may already know this, is that they have really good night vision. But what gives them good night vision? Well, let me first draw out basic drawing of the eye, like I did in previous weeks. So this is the front, this is the back. Do you remember the name of the structure that we see with that's at the back of the eye? It's called the retina. Now, pretty much all creatures have a retina because that's what we see with. But what cats have is an extra layer behind called a tapetum. And what this layer does, it's essentially a mirror. So what it does is when light gets in the eye, it causes it to bounce around a lot and makes it much more likely for your retina to see the light and detect it and for it to hit those cells. So what that means is if a cat is chasing mice around in the dark at night, it'll be able to detect even the smallest bit of light to see that mouse. Light that is so small of an amount that we can't detect it as humans. But what it means is since it works like a mirror and it causes a lot of light to bounce around, it's so much glare during the day that cats actually have terrible vision during the day. Kind of the opposite of humans. So we just talked about how cats have such great night vision, but one thing I didn't mention about cats that they do have that's pretty obvious is that they have a slit for pupil. Have you ever noticed that? They have a vertical pupil. Well, it's not just cats that have that. Crocodiles have that too. So here's Kyle the crocodile. Now that vertical pupil slit actually helps both species estimate distances better, which helps them when they're attacking prey, because both cats and crocodiles are technically predators. Now one species that isn't a predator is Gabby the goldfish. But goldfish, even though they're not predators, have a pretty cool visual system. In order to explain what's cool about a goldfish eye, first I have to give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson on the human eye. So let me draw another basic human eye here. So this is the front over here. This is the back. I just talked about the retina, which is what we see with at the back. Well, have you ever wondered what it is that changes in the eye that allows you to focus from something far away to all of a sudden looking at your hand way up close? Well, it's actually a structure called the lens, and it sits right behind your pupil. And what it does is when you are trying to look up close, it'll get fatter. When you're looking far away, it gets skinnier, so it's changing shape. Well, a goldfish eye, let me draw with a different color here. If I were to draw a goldfish eye, it has a lens as well, But instead of changing shape to focus, let's say a goldfish wants to look at a little bug up close and it was just looking far away, it actually moves in the eye, the lens. So it goes back and forth rather than changing shape. Well, that's all we have time for today. So if you want to hear more about some cool animal eyes, stay tuned next week for part 2. Until then, I'm Dr. S.